My friends, welcome to another episode of Leadership Synergized. I'm your host, Kevin Smith. Today, we're diving into a conversation that is rich with experience, authenticity, and wisdom. Our guest is someone I've admired for years, Mr. Doug Skoke. Doug is a leader who brings his whole self to the table. His journey spans leadership roles, life transitions, fatherhood, personal reinvention, and a deep commitment to understanding the person within. What you're about to hear is not just a resume of titles or accomplishments, but a powerful story of resilience, self-discovery, purpose, and growth. In this and the coming episodes, Doug shares openly about the challenges that shaped him, the internal work that transformed him, the lessons he learned from raising two adopted sons, and how he ultimately stepped boldly into entrepreneurship. His vulnerability, humility, and courage offer golden nuggets for leaders at every stage of life. So settle in, lean forward, and get ready for a meaningful conversation that will challenge your thinking and inspire your heart. Doug, my friend, thank you for being with us, and welcome to Leadership Synergized. My friends, welcome to this episode of Leadership Synergized. I'm your host, Kevin Smith. Today, we're going to dive in with a great individual, someone who I've admired for a number of years now, Mr. Doug Skoke. You're going to meet Doug in just a moment. He's going to introduce himself, and then we're just going to talk about his experiences of life, the value of commitment and constancy of purpose, and a number of other things that he's learned throughout his journey, not only in leadership functions and roles, but also on transitions of life, as well as just life overall. And I know you're going to pick up a lot of golden nuggets in this episode of Leadership Synergized. So thank you for joining us. Doug, my friend, welcome to today's episode, and thank you for agreeing to take this time. I know you're in such a beautiful place here in our country, the United States of America, and great weather, as we were talking before we turned the recording on here just a few moments ago, and I just appreciate you giving up some of that sunshine and relaxation time to join us today.
It's absolutely my pleasure, and I'm honored to be on your podcast and program, Kevin. Thanks for the invite.
It's our pleasure and our honor to have you, my friend. And if you're on LinkedIn, you're on social media, I'm sure you've seen this beautiful face and just this fun-loving individual who just brings life out in such a vulnerable way that I think all of us could learn from. And in many ways, growth, Doug, is really tied to the ability to have that vulnerability. And it really starts with accepting who we are in that aspect and then going from there. So why don't you share with us and introduce yourself, and then we'll talk more in detail about your experiences and how you believe those experiences can help others in life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no problem. I lean into the feeling vital and fulfilled has more to do with who I am on the inside than what I do on the outside. So when you ask me a question, just sort of open-ended about me, I don't go to I'm a newly minted entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. I'll touch on that at the end, but that's not the way I see my identity. I'm almost a native Floridian. I graduated from the University of Florida. I'm a Gen X dad, doing my level best to co-parent and raise two healthy, well-adjusted, adopted at birth sons who I could not love any more than I do. And I'm sure we'll get into it somewhere in our conversation. I've learned an incredible amount about life and resilience and the meaning of life, I think, through the challenges that we've had, quite frankly, raising these two young men. So it's extraordinary. I have an insatiable appetite for learning about me, which we'll get into, why I feel that's so important. So for anybody of your thousands of people that might tune into this, that are into some of these personal self-assessments, it sort of wraps me up pretty neatly. I'm an INFJ. and the MBTI, right? Myers-Briggs Type Index. I consider myself to be an ambivert. So I skew more toward introversion, but I definitely can flex my extroverted muscles when I need to or feel like it. And this is one of those examples where I'm getting so much energy out of our exchange, and we've just started. And then I'll need to sort of hermit a little bit probably after this and get my energy back. That's the way us ambiverts sort of operate. I'm an Enneagram 4. I'm a certified Gallup Strengths, Clifton Strengths Finder coach, maximizer, achiever, responsibility, learner, intellection. I am absolutely madly in love with Harley, who is the family golden doodle. So I am a doodle dad. And that's me as an individual. I am constantly in self-discovery, self-actualization mode 24/7, 365. Now, over the course, I'm in the fourth decade of my professional career. I've always been in client-facing, revenue-generating sort of roles, sales leadership, management. Um, Started out in consumer packaged goods, and then from that point forward, it's always been in professional services. I sort of fell into this beautiful space of recruitment about 9 years ago. And I was aligned with a boutique firm down here in South Florida where we were matching talent with opportunities. That firm went out of business the end of last year. And that was a sign from, I call it universe, we can call it God, higher power, whatever it is, communicating to me, all right, Doug, it's time to sort of put up or shut up. If you're going to, if I've always often said to myself, boy, how cathartic would it be to do something on my own? Leap and the net will appear, become an entrepreneur. I'm not going to reinvent myself. Now is the time, Doug. That company I was affiliated with is no longer in existence. I don't even have any non-compete issues to worry about. Let's do it. And I started my own executive search recruitment firm in January of this year called LFG Now, which is sort of a rallying cry for me, candidates, and clients. I won't expand upon what the acronym stands for, but most people do get it. Let's something go. And it's been a wild ride this year. I absolutely adore this journey of entrepreneurship and everything that it represents. That was a little long-winded. Apologies, but that's me. There we go.
Not at all. Thank you, Doug, for that great introduction of who you are. And I really admire and love you. You started out by talking about your focus on the internal you, that love for self, in essence, that
Yes,
respect and knowing who self is. And I that's not always been what's the word I'm looking for, the place that we go. Many times when people are asked who they are, they immediately go to title, job, company
that's
work. And
right.
I know that's been something from a baby boomer era piece that over time I've noticed change more and more, but yet I still see some of where titles or jobs become an identity. Talk a little
Mhm.
bit about your experience there. Is that something you had to move from to where you are now with self? Or is that kind of been a natural skill for Doug throughout your life and career?
No, definitely not a natural skill at all. I the, the real turning point for me in my whole life's journey to date. I mean, we are nothing more than a sum total of our life's experiences and responses to them, in my opinion. That's who we are. So, for the vast majority of my life, I'm in my 50s now. The vast majority of my life, I, well, a people pleaser, go along to get along, really loathe confrontation of any kind. Uh, I'll use the word suffer. There's probably a better word, but suffered from low self-esteem, low self-worth. Uh, Self-confidence was nowhere. I would put everybody else's needs, wants, and desires ahead of mine. And it took life delivering massive body blows to me the last 20 years or so. As I look at, so we're in almost in 2026. That's when all of my growth started uh, on the self-discovery end. That's when I realized, started to slowly but surely, that cradle to grave, I'm stuck with one person this entire life, and that person's me. So probably makes sense to figure me out and to be much more concerned about how my life feels on the inside than how it may look to others on the outside. And to stop attaching value, worth, and whatever else to a job title or how much money I may or may not be making or anything else. Because when you get to a place where that happiness and contentment is emanated from the inside out and life is an inside out job, then you start to become unmessable with, because my center point is from the inside out. So there's been a series of events over the last 20 years that have just sort of been knocking away. And it's just it's all rooted in life events, um, loss of people I'm very close with, um, separation, divorce from my ex-wife, who we're incredibly amicable and co-parent brilliantly right now and have been for a while. Loss of a job after 17 years of sweat equity out of absolutely nowhere, with no plan, nowhere to go, uh, inability to my ex and I, tried for a long time to have children because it's all I wanted was, I want to be a dad and raise kids. And this sounds egotistical. I feel like I would be such a great dad and have so much to offer and da 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 da. We were, God had different plans, not able to conceive. So that led us down a whole other path that I was not open or receptive to. But God bless my ex-wife for giving me some space and grace, which is adoption. We tried IVF several times. Nothing was going to work. And then I came around. So the whole journey of doing open adoption, so that's adopting our sons at birth, two different times, but within the state of Florida, and raising these two men over the. So my oldest is now 23, my youngest is now 19. Immense challenges and issues for both of them, completely different challenges and issues, but those are the things, and I could continue forward, even more. But what I realized working through these challenges, and I know this is sort of a long, winding road here, Kevin, but it's who I am. It's the foundation for everything. There's amor fati is a practice that I adhere to. It means love of one's fate. So what I recognize through all these challenges is they're gifts. And this isn't soft language like, oh, I'm a hardcore practitioner of the things that and I don't I practice. I've gone from platitudes to practices. So what I realize is when we embrace the adversity, those in fact are life's greatest opportunities for us to sharpen the sword. And we realize those things are coming for us because that's where we get all of the work to improve, right? To actualize, to embrace it. So that's when it started about 20 years ago. I would say in particular about 9 years ago is when I just fell deeply into this journey, whatever this journey is.
God bless you, my brother. I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing, and you hit upon a lot of quite frankly, what all of us basically go through if we're willing to, at times, just stop and breathe
Mm,
and then let, for lack of a better word, it be from the perspective of use the time and experience to know more about ourselves internally. Because, and I fell into the trap myself, my friend, and look, it wasn't so much job title or money for me as much I wanted the responsibility, right, that came with positions in those pieces. And I felt that's where I needed to go to in that
mm.
regard. And boy, to your point, you get humbled and knocked down. You get, whether it's laid off, there's reorganization or fired 3 or 4 times, you
Yeah.
begin to see exactly what you said, that the challenges and the struggles are where we grow from. And we can be frustrated all we want that our life is right now a little uneasy and that we're all a bit anxious about stuff at times. But even being anxious, that's not who we are either. It's just something that happens to all of us from time to time with situations in that piece.
Everybody. And the
Yeah.
way you framing is so important. You either get bitter or you get better. And the whole concept we're talking about here, the body blows and how you come back from that takes a mindset of woe's me and flips it on its head to watch me. Why me? Try me. Keep it coming. We got this. I mean, that's the only way that I'm not shriveled up in a corner right now, waving the white flag, saying, it's time for me to tap out. Let me go into my next venture or whatever.
Uh,
So it's almost like I've gamified it in a weird way.
well, I think that's a perfect analogy with what you stated. That life is a game from the perspective of let go of the competition part when it comes to when you see others succeeding, that it appears so easy for them. We never know what's behind all of that aspect either, right? So it's kind of like the judgment piece, or that Monday morning quarterback, and easy for
Yeah,
me to make the call. Or, if I watch a game show like Wheel of Fortune, I'm yelling out the answer. Well, it's real easy for me. The spotlights aren't on me, right? My
that's right.
my adrenaline's not flowing faster than I thought it would in that regard. And so many times, I think we as humans are constantly judging self in comparison to others.
You, I often joke with my kids who are young men now, right? I thank God that I'm not their age right now. I don't the drug of social media and the doom scrolling and the pervasiveness of technology and every the ease of everybody's highlights being broadcast to the world. I mean, it is just it's like cancer in my opinion. And it's com it's like comparison is the cancer of contentment to me.
Mm.
So that's a very, very significant issue as well. I'm happy to regale you with another practice, but you know what? I'm going to do it. Who
Go
cares?
for it. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So I, as a 50-year-old male, decided it would be novel to get my first tattoo. Interesting. Okay. Now, mind you, I consider, and I have four of them now, I consider them to be for my sanity, not vanity, because nobody ever really sees them because they're on my forearms.
Mm.
Two, one, two, one, two. And they're strategically placed there with meaning because they act as visual anchors for me
Oh,
all day long. One of the tattoos is a word in Sanskrit called mudita. Mudita translates to vicarious joy. So, what vicarious joy is, it goes exactly to what we're talking about here. It reminds me and anchors me in the fact that we do not live in a zero sum game world, that we live in an abundant world. and it's not only appropriate and okay for me to cheer on others and to celebrate others' successes as if they were my own, it's incumbent upon me to do that. That's the antidote to living in a world of comparison, which I don't care what age. I mean, I said to my kid, I said, "Oh, I'm glad I'm not growing up. Forget forget millennials or there's adults our age that spend their entire existence doom scrolling and comparing, and it's very sad. It is.
Thank you for that. What a great analogy. We're speaking with Doug Skoke, and Doug talked a bit a moment ago about his launch finally as an entrepreneur. And we're going to come back with Doug, and we're going to talk to him about what finally took him there and what he's learned in his first year plus as an entrepreneur. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, I greatly appreciate you asking me to be with you, Kevin, and your audience.
What an incredible conversation. My friends, I hope you picked up as much value from Doug's story as I did. His honesty, depth, and his commitment to becoming better from the inside out remind us that leadership isn't about titles, positions, or accomplishments. It's about who we are, how we grow, and how we serve. Doug's journey through adversity, fatherhood, reinvention, and ultimately entrepreneurship shows us the true nature of resilience. His reminder that life is an inside-out experience where challenges become opportunities and comparison gives way to joy is a message every leader, every one of us needs to hear. Doug, thank you, my brother, for your vulnerability, your wisdom, and your heart. And to all of you listening, may today's conversation inspire you to pause, breathe, reflect, and continue your own journey toward authenticity and purpose. This has been Leadership Synergized. I'm Kevin Smith. Until next time, stay intentional, keep growing, and stay synergized.